And back here in Georgia, there is a lot of political, should be able to say that word by the end of the day, going on here. You've got two things, really. You've got not only the battle for DNC chairperson, but you also have the battle to fill the seat of now HHS Secretary Tom Price. 17 candidates in that race, and the guy who covers them all is Greg Bluestein with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, a storied newspaper, not only renowned here in Atlanta, but worldwide as well, covering politics. Greg, first, we'll get to that breaking news that Jonathan Seri just brought us. You know, you had this idea covering the DNC, and God, don't political reporters love come-from-behind candidates, that this guy named Pete, whose last name nobody can pronounce, who is the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, was going to somehow take the DNC by storm and surprise everybody. He withdraws during his nomination speech, if you will, and now all of a sudden we've got this battle royale. The establishment, Tom Perez, former labor secretary under President Obama, endorsed by the Obama establishment, and then Keith Ellison, first Muslim in Congress, former defender of Louis Farrakhan, darling of the Bernie Sanders supporters, as the other option. Yeah, and I'm going to try to pronounce this mayor's name, Mayor Pete Buttigieg. He dropped out just now in the middle of his nomination speech, and he didn't endorse any of the other candidates. So he was trying You got to almost think the fix is in or something. Yeah, he was almost going to be the consensus, the third way candidate. If no one could back Ellison or Perez, he was going to be the guy. Now you're right, you've got exactly that. A mainstream candidate in Perez versus a progressive candidate in Ellison. And they're all trying to say that this is not a replay of 2016, but inside that building behind us, it very much seems like a replay of 2016. Elizabeth Pran brought up a great point, and that is that inside that building, just before the voting, they played a long video from Hillary Clinton talking about sort of her thoughts of the direction of the party and what she thought was important. How did that play? Because in some ways you might think that going back to 2016 is not where the Democrats want to go. No, and there's a lot of rumbling, especially among the Bernie Sanders, the green-clad Keith Ellison supporters. And every time Bernie Sanders' name has been mentioned in that building, there's been an eruption of applause, too. So the party can't move beyond 2016, it seems. How worried are, if you will, the establishment Democrats that if they cede control to Keith Ellison, that a big part of the Democratic wing, and especially the Democratic base, namely the Jewish money that is such a strong supporter of the Democratic Party, is going to leave? We already heard from Alan Dershowitz, who wrote a fiery op-ed saying this guy's an anti-Semite, he was a supporter of Louis Farrakhan, and I'm going to leave the Democratic Party, and I'm going to encourage others to, if they elect Keith Ellison. And at the same time, you're having the progressive wing saying they're going to leave if Perez gets elected. So they're dealing with this ongoing turmoil, and I don't think this is going to settle that. Inside that building as well, you are seeing from a lot of grassroots groups who are promising to mount challengers against the quote-unquote establishment political candidates. Same thing we saw the Tea Party movement in 2009 is happening right here. So an idea perhaps that you could have some Democrats who are in Congress be primaried come 2018. Fascinating. History doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes, I think is what Mark Twain said. Exactly. One thing that's sort of our first look at how the electorate is responding to the election of Donald Trump is going to be right here. In fact, in your own home congressional district, Georgia 6th, Tom Price is now headed to Washington to run HHS, and you have this special runoff election, 17 possible candidates. Give us a sense of how these people are positioning themselves. Are they the anti-Trump candidates, or are people saying, I'm going to take Trump on, and who's lining up behind Trump? Oh, it runs the gamut. You've got 11 Republicans ranging from Trump loyalists, the head of Trump's diversity coalitions running, to people who barely mention Trump's name, who are much more establishment-minded candidates. And this is a swing district. This is a swing district. Well, it went 62% for Tom Price, so it's a pretty establishment-friendly Republican district. But at the same time, Trump only won the district by 1 point. So this is why it's seen as sort of a dry run for what 2018 could look like. And then you've got 5 Democrats. One, this former congressional aide named John Ossoff, who's become sort of the darling of Democratic fundraising circles. He's already raised close to $2 million in campaign in 2 months. So it says a lot about how much Democratic energy is out there. He faces a very long shot. I mean, again, this is a district that Republicans should win. If there's anything Republicans learned in 2010 and then in 2016 is who knows what happens, especially 2014 as well. Greg, we really appreciate you being here. Should get results from inside there in a little while. And boy, either way, as you point out, there's people who are threatening to leave, so we'll see who marches out. Who walks out. Thank you. Thanks, Greg. Great having you.